Go ahead.
Oh
I was
man.
gonna say, can we talk about people's stubbornness to buy add-ons? Because, oh, this is one I get these all the time. It's like, okay, if you're doing hard surface and you already, I think you should learn vanilla workflow to understand how it works first. Like no doubt about it. That's what I did before I got any add-ons. I learned how to do it in vanilla because it's important to know those fundamentals. It's like knowing how to do algebra before calculus, right? It's but after you've mastered that, I don't understand people's stubbornness to buy add-ons that will literally save you thousands of hours. Like people will complain that hard ops and box cutter is $37, and they'll go and do vanilla Blender for months, if not years, when you're basically saying your time's worth pennies per hour. You could get the same task done that takes you 400 hours and 100 using add-ons, and you're telling me that's not worth $37 to you? And so many people are stubborn to not get add-ons. Blender is already free. I don't.
It's a very difficult conversation because you're talking about someone's how they value their time, and that can be a very touchy subject because the moment you start talking about money and their time, you're immediately on a back foot to try and say, well, I don't mean to say that your time is worthless. You know, it's brilliant that you're doing these things. But if you've considered spending $37, which obviously around the world can vary massively from a meal out to who knows a month's wage in some parts of the world. So there is that discrepancy that when we're on YouTube and global platforms that we can't always get the appreciation of. But the whole seriously, if you get this, I've used Andrew Price's lighting studio for years now. And it shows in all of the models that you can see there's a consistency amongst it, which is great because that means that you're outputting something that's consistent. But setting up that lighting scene, I've had discussions with my students. So why would you spend? I think it was about $100 or so when it first came out, something like that. Why would you spend this much? I can just add lights. I can add a 3-point. Yeah, but I've got this list of like 50 different lighting setups that I can just click through, and I get the one I want, and I'm off to the races with it. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
What is your number one add-on? It's a tough choice, but
for everyone.
Number one.
It depends what you're doing.
Specifically for you.
Well, I need to jump in here and say Bigen. The Bigen add-on's pretty good. You know, I call that my number one.
It is.
Bigen.
Hard ops for sure.
It's hard ops for me as well.
Yeah. Saves so much time. It's like I can press Alt X to mirror, or I can auto smooth, bevel, change the offset angle, hard and normal. All that I can do in one click with hard ops. Mirror, just everything. I've saved thousands of hours for sure using that. So definitely that, and it varies for everyone. You know, if you don't do hard surface, probably not hard ops.
Like SpurChalk and Animation Notes, they're together. Animation Notes has more like animation tools. SpurChalk is more like, I feel like it's got a bigger feature set, but that is a free add-on and it basically doubles what Blender can do because it adds that entire procedural modeling workflow to Blender, which I think is just amazing.
Yeah, SpurChalk is pretty cool.
I think for me is AutoRig Pro. So what that can do is rig a character so quick, but I use it more for the motion capture stuff. So I do obviously a lot of motion capture, and I'm able to apply the motion capture data to a character so quick. And especially once you get it set up first time, you save the preset, and it's just go nuts.
Yeah, I've watched your videos. I actually was just researching again yesterday and watching some of your videos again. So thank you profoundly for putting this stuff out there. And yeah, you use that AutoRig Pro. I mean, I didn't even realize like how many cool things you can do with that. And for retargeting and just setting up rigs, and especially when you're using third-party programs like Character Creator, and then you're bringing that in to Blender, and you're just like I'm gonna drop it. I'm gonna buy it because it's phenomenal. just watching what you were able to do with that and bring all this stuff in, and you were able to keep all the facial motion capture data on your model, and then break everything else, and then go into Auto Rig Pro, rig up your character, and then you just found that little head bone, and you were able to parent that to the rig, and then all of a sudden, I mean, you said it in your video too. You need to weight paint a lot more just to fix the vertices and everything. But it was working beautifully, and you had an awesome little talking head on a model that you could animate by hand in Blender, and you did it in like, I don't know, it was like 5 minutes of that video, and maybe 10 minutes, and you made it work.
So actually, Reillusion reached out to me because of that as well. So they're like,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
if I were Reillusion, I would totally reach out to you. I'm pretty much picking that up because of the stuff I saw in your video. No, seriously, like if you and you said it, and this goes back to something else we were just talking about too, is somebody came on and like, well, why wouldn't you just model that stuff, or just take, there was another program, MB Lab or something, which is actually really nice, and just use that and do it all in Blender. And you're like, dude, like, and you broke it down hourly, and you're like, okay, I can get like 20 characters in an hour out, and do like and basically just broke it all down, and you just said, like, time is money, and if you want to be able to have like a flood of different characters or a whole cast of actors for your short film, you can do that. So pick that up and use it, versus modeling everything in Blender that's going to take you 8 years, and you're probably never going to finish your project.
Yeah, so like I was saying last week, I hate character creation. I could learn. I still reference Jonathan Williamson's course that he did 8 years ago. However, it takes me 15, 16 hours to go through that course to get one character. Character Creator 3 is $300. Now, if I were to pay myself $10 an hour, that's 30 hours. I've already spent 20 hours on training. It's probably going to take me another 10 hours to make another character. So with 2 characters, I've paid off. And I can spin up, like you said, 15, 20 characters in an hour. It's just smash them out. There we go. They're fully rigged, shape keys, everything's in there. And it goes back to what we were talking about just before, is time versus money. If you've got all the time in the world, well, learn it. But if you want to get in with the project and get out, you can't beat it.
Yeah, like I'm done modeling humans. I've been doing it for years, and it's become so tedious now that I'm like, I don't even, I start with the box, and then draw out the polys. I mean, I've done like every technique. And William Vaughn had a really awesome. He was from Lightwave, went to Moto. Excellent character artist, and just does the stuff up pretty quickly. But it's cartoony, and if you take the time to do a real human, you're never gonna finish your project. Like, you're just not. Like, you can create the coolest base mesh, but you're still gonna have to change that and do iterations on different characters, and that's going to take you a lot of time, versus getting a tool where you can just bang out a whole cast in a few hours and be on your way to animating already, or being on your way to doing previs and storyboarding and blocking out and doing an animatic. Like, I mean, it is sensitive because we're a worldwide audience, and I mean, $300 or $150 right now because it's half price until like June 30th. Yeah, it's a lot of money, man. I don't discount that at all. Like, there are people, I mean, honestly, like, but if you're doing it professionally and you're getting paid for it, and you do have a value on your time, like, it just makes sense to just buy tools that are going to speed up your workflow.
Absolutely.
You're getting paid for it, so buy tools and be faster at it.
Hence the motion capture suit as well.
I'd love one of those.
Yeah, I would love that too, but that's I'm not buying that yet. I'll still tediously hand animate stuff, but yeah.
I think that's really nice to point out with beginners. So hopefully, if any beginners are watching this, we're not putting them off, actually going in there and learning all of the different things, whether it's rigging or whatever. These things are actually needed in industry.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people forget, not necessarily don't know, but forget that in an industry where you have thousands upon thousands of man hours that go into something like Disney, Pixar, or any VFX shots and all the rest of it, there'll be someone who models, and then there'll be someone who rigs, then there'll be someone who unwraps perhaps before it's even textured and then animated. And so I see buying an add-on as employing someone who can do that one job for me very quickly.
Exactly.
And I've bought add-ons. They're Car Rig Pro. I think it's made by the same people as the other one that you were just talking about, the Auto Rig. I'm not sure. But I was learning about how to get cars, like the tires, to follow the road and everything. So I got the add-on, and I actually learnt a lot by taking it all apart and seeing how it put all these bits together. I was like, oh, that's really clever how you can use empties to drive this forward and work with the suspension, and then having this chain of things that I wouldn't have even thought of. So it's like buying a professional package, taking it apart, having a look at the nuts and bolts and seeing how it works and how it runs. But one thing I realized very quickly is, for me, that gave me the opportunity to then, what happens if you've got an 18-wheeler or a tank where you have to do something where that rig wouldn't apply to it? That's the thing that for me personally, it enabled me to then go forward and modify a rig. Click, we're halfway there, do these 2 extra things, we're all the way there. And so that just speeds up workflow so much.
Yep.
On that point about not scaring away beginners, like when we were talking about like quad modeling and things before, it's so important to learn how to do quad modeling and to learn how to rig and everything in vanilla Blender, because they're the skills that you're going to be able to transfer to Maya if you get picked up by a studio that uses Maya or 3ds Max or Unity and Unreal and things like that. Like, using the add-ons are really great if you know that is going to work for your pipe, like for your workflow, and it's a good expense because you're going to get that money back in your products, like when you're doing work for other people, because of the time that you're going to save. But at the same time, it's still good to learn these things. So even if you can't afford like the $300 or $150 or whatever now, maybe you will in a year if you're doing this work. But it's so good to learn those skills, like the base skills, first.
Oh yeah, yeah,
To that
and
point-
you're, yeah.
No, go ahead.
I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
It's kind of like buying a new Lego set. You know, you can take apart the pieces and read the instructions and see how it works, as was being mentioned before, and that there's huge value in being able to do that if you don't necessarily know where to start as a beginner. In how would I put this together myself? That's a long a long roadmap, to try to discover, especially if there's nothing pointing you in that direction. But being able to download an add-on and then decompose it or break it down, it's part of every workflow. Whether it's something you notice or don't, you're doing it even if you don't mean to.
Yep. You're right. It's true. You really, as a beginner, and we're talking on a level where we're freelancing and we're making money and we're using this for our livelihood, and that's, I understand that. I'm sensitive to that. So if you are a beginner, you're right. Take the time and learn how to build a human. It's painful, it's tedious, but it's also really fun. So if you start seeing the results, you just keep doing more and more and more of it. And then you reach a point where you're like us, and you're just like, all right, I don't want to do this again because, oh my God, like I'm not doing this again. But if you start off at the basics and you start learning, what points are, what a vertex is, what a face is, how to make a face by scratch, how to color that face by scratch, how to do all this stuff, and you just build up from there, then yes, you can take that and you'll have a solid understanding of what you're doing, and then you get to the level where we're talking about all this stuff. So we don't mean to be disingenuous when we're saying, just go buy stuff to do this stuff. Like, that's on a whole different level than from a beginner who you don't need to know all this stuff. And that's a good point too, is beginners can get inundated with this stuff. They can go, oh, well, I need this plugin to do this if I want to do this, and then I need this. No, you don't. You can take the vanilla blender, and you can do everything with it. Almost everything. But almost everything that you can conceive of in your mind to make visually, you can do. You just have to start and learn the software. The software itself, with no plugins, with nothing, has so much capability to have you realize your dreams. Like, just and create art and do whatever you want with it. And you can just use all of the tools that we teach in our videos to do that. You don't need to spend extra money on add-ons. The stuff that we're talking about now saves us time. And for us, time is money when you're
later
doing it
down the line.
professionally. But that's and we should definitely put that out there. That is way down the line. If you're a beginner, it is okay to ignore all the plugins, ignore what we're saying, and just learn the basics. And that we all started that way. I didn't buy plugins when I started. I bought the software because Blender didn't exist when I started 3D animation. But I bought a copy of Lightwave. I think I spent at the time it was expensive. I think I spent like $600 on it, and I got a student discount or something. But it was awesome, and then I just learned it. I didn't use any plugins, nothing. I just learned the basics, and that's fine. And then you get to a point where you're looking at buying models, and you're looking at putting things together, and you're looking at your short films, and you're looking at time versus money, and you're looking at clients. But that's down the line.
I wonder if some of it is they feel a beginner might feel that using an add-on is cheating. Just the same as using a bought mesh for the background. Yeah, for the background of your scene is cheating. You should do everything yourself. And I've when I've put together tutorials before, I've gone through the entire thing using add-ons, so I don't have to spend hours getting to the end result that I'm showing them. Hey, in this tutorial, you're going to get to this end result, and then I sigh because I've got to jump in and do it vanilla style.
Yeah, it's like, okay, if you're drawing, do you create your own pencil out of graphite and wood? Do you go and chop down a tree, and do you drill it out, and then do you stuff it with graphite, and then do you shave it off, and then do you go and shred a tree and get the pulp and make your own paper? And no, you don't.
Yeah, I remember saying that in one of my discussion videos. I said, look, if you didn't invent the universe, then you have no claim to originality. Really.
Thank you.
I remember that.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, everything is just copying hydrogen, really, isn't it?
It is. It really is. Everything in our universe, in our known universe, is basically copying hydrogen. Yeah, it's an add-on to. Yeah. It's an add-on to H. What's water? H2O, 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. Okay, you're taking elements from the
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you could go down to the basics and go, okay, well, find the boson that figures out that it's going to be hydrogen, but come on. No, you're not.
Time for that.
Your entire body is a carbon copy of something that came before you. We stand on the shoulders of giants, guys.
So
we all